Group therapy. Gazelle. Yes, I am beautiful, yet always I am hunted. My beauty is a curse. Lion. I take anything I want, and I am always hungry, never satisfied. Giraffe. I see so far ahead, I am wary of everything. Hippo. Despite being always freshly washed, I am hopelessly ugly. Alligator. Famous for my smile, everyone runs away. Elephant. I have more dignity than any of you, and yet I am always being captured and forced to entertain. Rabbit. I must remain very still, ready to flee, as I have no defenses. Snake. Call me. The point. Your body moves in subtle ways. In your green eyes, a tiny fleck of blue. Not in all creation more jewelry than you. On your brow, the glint of expectation. Faint fuzz of youth, new peach stirring on your arms and at your cheek. What your maker had in mind was more than one might find in all the treasure of the world. The thing you have to love is that life tries and tries again until it breaks you in the end with beauty. Hold still. I'd like to go once more around. Take my time. Save what I've found against the day I'll know we have to part. For what's the point of beauty if it does not break your heart? Don't speak. Don't speak. Look there. Her smile comes easily. Yet there's something more, not for me to see. She has a history. I must go carefully. This is a woman, not a girl, and I, long ago a boy, cannot recall. Perhaps about me, best of all, that I have so often lost. She's listening to something far away, some memory I will never know, not ever mine to know. Still, I like to think I've reached her, touched at the sublime. What can I say? The answer is say nothing. What shall I do? Do nothing just as well. Let silence speak. Silence is her realm, the art of quiet where she dwells. And when she listens, she hears what I will never hear, that when she turns, all unaware, there is awareness there. Orchidaceous. At Home Depot shopping, orchids were on sale. Chancing on this gift, exotic, fragile, lovely and yet hardy, so like you, I find instructions for the care call for ice cubes once a week. May I show up at least that often, perform my tribute age to beauty, scatter ice cubes at your feet? What genius learned, though nature may have erred, in aligning time and climate, ice and blossom made to be together? Who's to say? If I remember correctly, although I much preferred toys, Language was quick to take me in. Soon, for everything about everything, a word came to mind, and I was inside of words looking out, held within a scheme to which I had been surrendered without my consent. In a sleight of mind, reality had been sacrificed to a construct far from truth. It had never occurred to me to do anything about this. Had I wanted to escape, I would have had to use words to formulate a plan. It was only of the torrential immersion in mindless discourse I was shocked awake. America had gone jabbering. I could no longer reconcile the relentless demand for response. Even my dreams, last repose of sanity, had lost their sacred imagery. I had been juggling before the altar of a false god until I could no longer perform. One morning, awakening in tranquility, came to mind the words of Isaac Babel, and I saw life as it really is, frozen in silence and eternally beautiful. I am leaving now, quietly. Curtain call. I wish I had been man enough, as with her first sight all those years ago, talking until dawn. Say again, throw some things together, I'll be back at noon. We ran for over 50 years until she was taken down by failures of anatomy, fate, bad doctoring, who knows how much of which or what or why. All I've learned that at the end, she said, I love you, Cliff. Now final payment overdue on my mortality. Group table at the reading, you alone. Few words exchanged, amenities. Called, I read my poems. Poised, diction tight, command of self, so clearly no one I had ever been. Looking all around the room at everyone but you. Returned, attending to my notes, nothing else in mind, a woman crossed the room. I loved your poems, best of all, how proud she was of you. And in that moment knew I'd heard the angels speak. Lost had I not listened, helpless that I had. A meeting of minds. One morning in our drive, out of the mist, I saw approaching a mature albino stag. He stopped before me in what appeared approval of this unlikely circumstance. No fear on either side, our woodland setting more his domain than mine. Indeed, as interloper there, my benefit, his noblesse oblige. Power evident in body prime, masked all snowy white, foundation to a visage crowned with pointed spears. Although not a little man, at least in height, if not in stature, I was well aware our difference lay in who had failed in nature. In a world gone awry on pride of place, I have been assigned to primacy based on gifts to rig the game. In early fall, colder here, leaves scant to hide, coat stark in any clime, he was all too rare a trophy for those less moved by heart than hunt. In courts where gods prevail, I am less than nothing on any scale that considers pure, complete, an entity discrete in every function but to deal with man. That being all I know, I make my way so well outside of love, I am almost only motivation. Well, just to watch him dance away. Real estate. One would suppose every house begins as a dream, at the very least a fine intention. As to it being a home, well, what to say but that love is essential. I have lived in such places where the door opens to a kind of exhilaration, where I was one of an entity of another, and then of others our own, and everything so of the selves together, lamp, books, sofa, chair, pots and dishes, I was embraced by it all, and the voices. How wonderful to find each time we moved from a place so rich for us in memory that we left as much in regret as in anticipation, only to find, arriving at another, hardly had we settled in, everything that really mattered had come with us. Across 3 states and more than 50 years, one apartment at another, the house by the lake, the gatehouse on 6 acres, the place on the Cape. It was with us everywhere. You used to say we had a magic carpet, and when you left, it carried you away. This old man. No one wanted his poetry. His only appearance, more or less permanently in print, was the sign scrawled outside his door that began, "This government, those thieving bastards." The poems themselves, after endless rejection, he tore into pieces and flung into the wind, where they would from time to time reappear, blown against wet windows or stuck to a shoe, and when held to the light, read in fading phrases things like, "Time passeth, and I lost her, and he loved." Forever. Forever is the boy whistled winter down the streets of that old coal town, past the brewery, whispering its sour breath into the day, a prayer for the working man, has seen faint smoke from the factory half employed send up its wispy pride. The sun almost through the clouds just there, and the woman, young enough in her red coat, bringing color on her way, holding herself close for want of another. Ice melt on the sidewalks, making rainbows underfoot. All I need to know. Places where she's been hold traces of her grace. There's something in the light that lingers out of sight and waits for her return. Long gone on her way, left a word somewhere, too difficult to find, impossible to say. Somehow I will always know where beautiful has been or spoken, what she has touched, if only for a moment, and it's everything I'll ever need to know, worth knowing. Sunlight in an empty room, she's been there, brushed her hair perhaps, left everything exactly where it was, yet electric to the touch, almost more than I can bear to be without her. Will we ever meet again? Is eternity a dream? Out of fortune. In a winter out of fortune, my younger son, then in his 40s, found work in a pizzeria. A craftsman self-made, yet lacking papered education, he had gone his own way, living his upstate life largely on charm and appetite. Too much alike and unalike to really like each other, we'd fall out sometimes for years before not so much reconciling as to restore a cordiality of common interest in inspiration based largely on the deep thought of others. And of course, I could be useful. It was he who introduced me to Blanchot, through whom I found Mallarmé and Levinas. I brought René Char. I offered some very necessary dollars, my romanticized imagination. Once in the village, I saw Chagall's lovers in the sky. As for affection, had you ever seen us arms around each other, you would know we had gone mad. In the pizzeria, he did dishes, table service, cash register, closing time stacking chairs on tables, sweeping, mopping, reconciling ongoing conflicts with Fabrizio, the owner, another dominant male, and there was all he could eat. On the wall behind the register, a framed reproduction of a portrait of the Saint Padre Pio, left by the previous owner, which Fabrizio would sometimes respectfully adjust, squaring heart with enterprise. My wife had died in February, months of shock, disorientation, long nights dying to myself as best I could until overcome by sleep, days of variable somnambulism, unexpected, uncontainable upheavals of self. We did not speak of it. Acknowledgement and grimace, nods, a sudden turning away, aberrant gesticulations. The body had gathered itself to protect the mind. In all this it was good he was there. One day, off from work, at home, weeping, he said it had just been pouring out of him. Late afternoon, Fabrizio called. "Get down here." A woman, never there before, having eaten, paid, ready to leave, said, "I brought something." She had been to Italy, to the shrine of Padre Pio in San Giovanni Rotondo. In the gift shop, she purchased a small enameled cross with images of Christ, Mary, and Padre Pio holding a child. Fabrizio told my son, "I think this is for you." The day was overcast, darkening. Cross in hand, in the park where he had gone to collect himself, on the bridge overlooking the falls, he looked up to see, in the sky, Padre Pio carrying his mother heavenward.